Who joins the story at the end? A billionaire father whose heart had been closed for years, until one ordinary night when a simple act of kindness changed everything. It was a quiet Friday evening at a small-town diner just off the highway. The place was nothing special: checkered floors, flickering neon signs, and the faint smell of coffee that never really went away. But inside, something extraordinary was about to happen. Sarah had worked the night shift at the diner for almost 2 years. She was 28, a single mum, and every shift was a battle between exhaustion and hope. Her 7-year-old son, Ethan, was born with cerebral palsy. He couldn't walk without braces on his legs and a walker, and though he rarely spoke, his bright smile said more than words ever could. On the nights she couldn't find a sitter, Ethan came with her, sitting quietly in the corner booth with crayons and an old coloring book, while his mum poured coffee and cleared tables. Most customers barely noticed Ethan. Some were kind, offering gentle smiles. Others looked away, uncomfortable with what they didn't understand. But Sarah didn't mind. Her son was her entire world. And if that meant juggling trays and tantrums while dreaming of a better life, she was willing to do it every single day. That evening, the diner was more crowded than usual. A group of travelers had stopped in. One man sat alone at a table by the window, dressed in a tailored suit that didn't quite fit the casual atmosphere. He looked out of place, absorbed in his phone, barely touching his food. No one knew he was Richard Langston, billionaire entrepreneur, known more for cold business deals than human connection. He wasn't supposed to be there. His private jet had been grounded by a storm, and he'd ended up in this small town by chance, waiting for clear skies. As he sat scrolling, something caught his eye: a small boy struggling to get up from his seat with a walker. Richard watched as Ethan shuffled slowly to the jukebox. The boy pressed a button, and the classic notes of "What a Wonderful World" began to fill the room. Some diners glanced over, curious. Sarah looked up from behind the counter and froze. "Ethan," she said gently, approaching him, "you want to dance?" The boy nodded eagerly, his face lighting up. With a deep breath, Sarah knelt beside him and took his hands. Slowly, carefully, she moved with him tiny steps, swaying gently to the music. The entire diner fell silent. There were no cameras, no audience, just a tired mother and her disabled son dancing like the world had stopped to watch. Her eyes were full of tears, but she smiled, letting Ethan lead. He beamed with pride, every ounce of his being focused on those small, triumphant movements. Richard's phone slipped from his hand. Something cracked open in him. Memories he had buried long ago of his own son, Jake, who had died from a rare illness at the age of 9. He had been so consumed by work, by money, by ambition, he missed the chance to truly be a father. He remembered the last time Jake had asked him to dance, and how he had brushed it off, too busy with a deal. Watching Ethan now felt like being haunted by Grace, a second chance at understanding what truly mattered. After the song ended, the diner returned to its usual noise. Sarah gave Ethan a kiss on the forehead, gently guiding him back to his seat. Richard stood up and walked over. "Excuse me," he said softly. "That was beautiful." Sarah looked up, surprised. "Thank you. He loves music." "I'm Richard," he said, offering his hand. "Would you sit for a moment?" Reluctantly, she joined him in the booth. They spoke for nearly an hour. He asked about Ethan, about her life, her dreams, her struggles. She told him everything, not because she expected anything, but because it felt good to be heard. Richard left that night without revealing who he was, but he couldn't stop thinking about them. 2 weeks later, Sarah got a letter in the mail. It wasn't a bill, it wasn't a notice. It was an invitation to visit a special facility in the city, a new children's therapy center. Inside was a note that read, "Ethan deserves the world. Let's help him dance even more. Sincerely, RL." A car was waiting outside. When Sarah arrived at the center, she couldn't believe what she saw: new equipment, top therapists, a bright, joyful space designed for kids like Ethan. And standing there, smiling with quiet warmth, was Richard Langston. "I built this for him," he said, "and for all the kids like him, because that night, you reminded me what love looks like." Sarah burst into tears, not because of the generosity, but because someone had seen her son not as broken, but as brave. Someone had seen her not as a tired waitress, but as a mother doing her very best.